Okay, so we are just about done with everything but the hinging. I think I'll have to show that in the next video. Here's our piece here after it's dried and everything. The next step is we're going to be taking some toothpicks. We have to mark some holes here. From the leading edge, we're supposed to mark 3/8 inch back and then one back towards the center. We're going to put the toothpicks in there, and basically those will stick into the foam. I guess it goes like that before we glue this to our aileron. So that's pretty much the last step, and then we'll be ready for hinging. So I'm going to go ahead and make my holes here. Okay, the other thing is we're not going to be able to get the full length of this in here. This rod will actually comes down right there, and it will actually impact that. Needs to be just a little bit larger. And we're going to need one more right there. Alright, so you'll have a piece that basically looks like that. Pretty much all you need to do is line it up and put it in like so. I'm going to go ahead and do that and epoxy it, and we should be done with that. What you should have is a sanded wing, leading edge, tailing edge. We've got all this smooth. We've got our aileron end piece, and our aileron torque rod completed, and it looks pretty good. One thing I forgot to do is to also Dremel out this front part. It's a little bit smaller than the than where we put our aileron torque rod, but that should be pretty easy to do once we round this leading edge, so no big deal. Okay, pretty much the last step that we need to do for our aileron is to take the leading edge. I've drawn a center line here, and we just need to round it to the shape of the aileron end piece there, and just make sure we round it on the end there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we can get going on the hinging. Alright, so we finished our aileron here. I've got the leading edge rounded, and I blended it to the aileron end piece there. So we're basically ready to get going on the hinge system. I've kind of laid it out how it's going to go here. Basically, you've got this long tube, you've got a hinge, a shorter tube, hinge, and another one of the shorter tubes. These two tubes are the same length. And then you've got a rod that basically just runs right through the middle of all that and holds it all together. I've got it oriented here so that you can see the how the hinges, these kind of winged hinges will go into the wing, and then these guys will go into your aileron. So let's get started with the measurements and marking up the wing to get ready to install that. Okay, so the very first thing that you're going to do when you are measuring to your hinge points is I drew a center line through the length of the wing there, and what you want to do is you want to find the middle point between there and there, and that's where your first mark's going to be, which I have right there. Then you're going to measure out 110 millimeters. I use calipers for that, and you can kind of see where the first hole is, and then another 110 millimeters over to the second hole there. You can kind of validate that by taking one of the smaller tubes there, and it should fit between those 2 points. I rested on there just to make sure that I had everything measured up just right. So anyways, the next step that we're going to do is we need to assemble our hinges. We're going to put these small metal rods inside the winged portion of the hinge. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, I inserted the pins in the winged portion of the hinge there, so those are ready to go. I'm just going to set those aside for right now. The other thing that I did is I put some tape on the trailing edge of the wing and drew marks that were perpendicular to the trailing edge there where the holes are going to be. We're going to use a 1/8 inch drill bit and drill the holes for the hinges. You want to try to make sure that you're going in perpendicular to the trailing edge. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and see you on the next step. Okay, we've got our 1/8 inch diameter holes drilled in for the hinges. Now basically all we need to do is take our X-Acto knife and cut some slots on either side of the hole to allow the winged portion of the hinge to fit into. I still don't have a tripod, so I'm going to go ahead and do that and show you what it looks like when it's completed. Okay, once you've cut the slot for the hinge, it should look a little something like that. I went ahead and put in the 2 other hinges just to kind of show you what they should look like. They should be perpendicular there, or parallel, I guess, to the lines that you drew on the wing. So that is the correct placement. I'm going to go ahead and temporarily put in the other one. Don't glue anything in at this point. We're just kind of test fitting everything in. The next thing I did was put some tape on the aileron itself, and I transferred the lines from the wing over to the aileron where the hinges go. I drew another center line on the aileron itself, and then I put a small hole where we're going to need to drill the 1/8 inch holes on the aileron right on that center line. So I'm going to go ahead and drill those 1/8 inch holes now. You want to be real careful. When I did the first wing, my drill bit's a little bit long and I kind of came out the bottom over here. So anyways, just be careful and try to drill it straight in there. Drill press would be really great for this, but I don't have one. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that and meet you at the next step. Okay, I've got the holes drilled here, and I've inserted the hinge into each hole. Now, notice that they're extended outside of the aileron. That's not the way we're going to do it, but I just want to make sure it fit in the hole and that they were lined up with my center line. They're going to be recessed, so what we need to do is basically cut an opening the size of the end of the hinge there, and probably the easiest way to do it, or at least the way I did it, was I just basically traced it with a X-Acto knife on the outside there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and make one of the holes and kind of show you what that looks like, and then I'll do the other 2 on the next step.